Hi everyone, it's Farara again, and today I want to talk about something that I found to be very challenging as a military wife, and that was going through a deployment. I know that there are a lot of men and women going through their first deployment or any deployment for that matter. I feel like it never gets any easier, but are going through a deployment nevertheless and need some encouragement. And I just want to say that anybody in any marriage can survive a deployment if both people want to survive it. And just know that a deployment doesn't have to mean the end of your relationship. It could mean a brand new start. I know for people who are having maybe issues in their relationship and a deployment creeps its way in there, I feel like that deployment could provide you with a fresh start because it could provide you with a new perspective. Like, are the issues that we're having worth me holding a grudge if something were to happen to my significant other while they were deployed, or to the other person who's staying home? You know, because the reality is nobody's safe from death. Everybody has a time for when they're going to go, and I think that a deployment can provide you with that. And I just want to say that you can use a deployment for positive things, and it doesn't have to always be negative, nor do you have to focus on all the negative aspects of deploying, because there are some positive aspects. And for me, there were a series of things that I did that helped me to get through a deployment. And those things are: one, I took that time to get back in shape. I exercised very frequently throughout the day, every day. I encouraged my friends to do the same that were going through a deployment, so they were exercising with me. I had a walking buddy that I would go walking with, and not only would we get a workout in, but we would also get the opportunity to vent to the other one and to cry if we needed to cry. And that was really important because I know for me, I did not want to cry on the phone with my husband. I wanted him to know that I missed him and that I needed him, and there was nothing here that could replace him in my life. But I didn't want to break down to the point where I was hurting him and making him feel like he wasn't a good husband because he wasn't here with me physically. So that was definitely something that I looked forward to, was having that time to get all my feelings and frustrations out without having to take them all to my husband. Another thing that I chose to do was, I have a bachelor's degree, but my bachelor degree wasn't really picking up a lot of jobs here. So I took that time to get a job in the medical field, but it required me to go to school for it. So I went back to school and got a job in the medical field, which was paid for by the Army, or by the government rather, because I had the MyCAA funds pay for it. So that was really great, and that's something that's afforded to all military spouses at some point, depending on your husband's rank. If he's an O2 or below on the officer side, I know you qualify. If your husband is, I think, E6 and below, you qualify for MyCAA. And there's other benefits that you can utilize to pay for schooling, and all this stuff is at your fingertips to play with while your husband or your significant other is deployed. You have the time to do it. So I would suggest, if there's been a time where you thought about going back to school, then maybe you could start that while he's deployed. Another thing that I think was very important was I worked through the deployment, and that helped me to stay busy on a day-to-day basis, and also introduce you to more people to hang around to get your mind off of things, and that was really helpful. I also took that time to be very active in the FRG, since before my husband deployed, I didn't get a chance to really meet everyone in the FRG because we got here so late that basically by the time my husband got here, he was already shipped off. They weren't having anything because everybody was busy and trying to get everything ready for the deployment, that they didn't really have FRG events per se. So I didn't get a chance to really meet everyone until the guys were gone. And I know a lot of people advised against joining the FRG, but I found it to be very helpful. I know that the stigma with FRG groups are that, you know, they have a lot of drama, but I feel like it's what you make of it, and just because there's drama around you doesn't mean you have to be involved in the drama. Again, like I always say, try to focus on the positive and, you know, just roll with the negative. And for us, we had drama, but I knew that that was going to happen. You have a whole bunch of people who are already emotional. What do you expect? So it wasn't anything I wasn't expecting, but there were a lot of moments that were priceless, that were well worth it. I mean, I connected with people during the deployment, and I feel like they helped me to get through the deployment, and I feel like I kind of helped them get through the deployment, and it was just awesome. Not to mention the information that was given to us in the FRG meetings or our little social gatherings. There was a lot of information that people who weren't involved in the FRG weren't really getting necessarily. And so I liked that aspect of it. I liked being abreast to everything that was going on with my husband's unit that I wouldn't otherwise know if I hadn't gone to those meetings. So I really appreciated that. And it was also nice to have that camaraderie with individuals that were going through the same thing I was going through. I found that to be one of the most challenging things to find while my husband was deployed, because I had a lot of friends that either have never been separated from their spouse, or they haven't been married, or they've never gone through a deployment. And so when I would feel low, they would kind of try to comfort me in their own little ways, but it just would make me more upset because they were saying things that I felt didn't apply and didn't represent what I was going through. So it was nice to have that dynamic where if I felt like I needed to get away from the military, I had those friends, and then if I wanted to fall back into it and I wanted to talk about things that were going on in the military, I knew that I had individuals that I could do that with. And so that definitely helped me to get through the deployment, is having that support system where everybody in the room was going through the same thing. Another thing that helped with me getting through the deployment was praying. I don't know if you all are religious, but I felt like I became closer to God because there were times where I needed someone to talk to, but I didn't want to be judged and I didn't want to stress my husband out. So I would talk to Christ and I would ask him for the strength, and I feel like he really gave it to me. I feel like when the deployment was over, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, oh my gosh, I made it through this. I don't know how I did it, but I did. And I know that it wasn't because of anything that was within me. It was because of the support of my family, my friends, my husband, and definitely from God. And so that definitely helped me. The suggestions that I would give anybody that's about to go through a deployment would be, try to keep yourself busy. Try to be around positive things and positive people. Keep yourself, in constant contact, as often as possible with your significant other, because it'll help ease your mind a little bit. I would also say definitely use that time to do things that you find more challenging when your husband or your significant other is home. Like going to school. Maybe you could take more classes than you normally can when your significant other is home. Or if you're not even able to do that, then you can go to school for the first time. Definitely have a job. If you always wanted to lose weight or exercise, make a plan to do that. Set goals for yourself so that you can focus on another deadline as opposed to focusing on when your soldier's going to touch the ground. I would definitely say keep in contact with your family and your friends. And when you do talk with your significant other, try to make the best out of every conversation. Just stay busy and positive and you'll get through. I really feel like your FRG will probably be very instrumental in that if you choose to do that, which I would personally advise you to, because like I said, the information that you learn and the projects that they work on, if you don't go, your soldier may not get what they're doing. And I know that that was something that I was very proud of, was that every time they had an FRG event where we were making stuff for the soldiers, I got to personalize my husband's. And I knew that that meant a great deal to him as well. And just try to stay positive, you know, tackle your bills, you know, try to get a nice nest egg for savings, and just try to focus on the positive things that are coming out of the deployment instead of things that you have no control over and the things that are inevitable with being with a soldier, and that's going through a deployment. So I really hope that my pointers helped, and I pray that, you know, you all take my advice and keep yourselves busy, and just know that you can get through this. Like, I'm positive you can, and you will. Just stay positive for your soldier and keep your soldier positive, and you'll be fine. If you have any questions or anything you want me to add or address, please feel free to comment and ask me questions there. I would love to hear from you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Out.